But I knew that if I did it, it was the end for me. And I started to screaming, like, because I was in a lot of pain.
At the moments when I was feeling quite low, I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? How am I going to complete this all? You start questioning your life choices.
I started to go to the gym and doing the workouts, and one of my friends, he basically let me know that this thing exists, and now we're doing it.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Unmute, the well-being podcast brought to you by WeCare. All episodes streamed on Spotify and YouTube, and internally via Concentrix University for our game changers. We hope you enjoy the show.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Unmute. I am your host, James Hughes, and today we are talking about a fitness craze that has taken the world by storm and has certainly taken over my social media feeds, and that is the world of Hyrox. If you're like me listening to this, where maybe the word Hyrox came into your vocabulary around 6 months ago, or maybe this is the first time, do not panic. Trust me, at the end of this episode, you are going to learn everything about Hyrox that you need to know, but also maybe be inspired to see if you could potentially complete a Hyrox one day as well. And that's because I am joined by two experts of Hyrox. One of my guests has completed one recently, and the other one is training for one right now, so it's a very exciting time. Before we get started and delve into this subject, let's just have a quick introduction. So Amanda, would you mind just introducing yourself and a bit of background as well for why Hyrox is a passion of yours?
Yeah, sure. So hi, everyone. My name is Amanda Grossi. I am based here in Amsterdam, and Hyrox is something that came into my life last year. I trained and did my first race in January of this year. And yeah, I did it on my own, which we'll explain a little bit later how you can do it on your own. You can do it in a pair, you can do it as a group of four. But for me, it was really about wanting to challenge myself and try something really different and see what I can do. And yeah, that's why I decided to do Hyrox.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being there. And Alex, over to you.
Thank you, Jim. And so, look, my name is Aleks. I'm based in a wonderful city of Paris. And why Hyrox? Look, I think I like sports. It gives me a lot of positive vibes. It puts me in a better place, not only physically, but mentally. And I guess I like all sorts of challenges. And I don't know, I love running. I ran a few half marathons. Actually, I'm running one again in 2 days in Prague. I did 2 marathons, and then I went into, I started to go to the gym and doing the workouts. And one of my friends, he basically let me know that this thing exists. And now we're doing it together in duo on the 10th of May in Helsinki. So I guess I'm curious, and I guess, it's very interesting for me when I do something to kind of bring it to a logical kind of milestone, which is I want to do it. Then maybe I'll do that in solo. And I think, Amanda, you did it in solo. So maybe next time I'll do it in solo. But honestly, I'm scared about solo. I can't imagine how you did it. First, I'm trying in duo just to be on the safe side.
To be honest, doing it solo, I would recommend to do it in a pair, but doing it solo was for the first time. I think I worked it up in my head a lot because it's one of those races, I've run half marathons before. I haven't run a marathon like you, Alex, but running, you can always, I guess, not that you probably would in a race, but you could stop and walk. Where with Hyrox, and Jim, I can explain it in a moment, but there's physical exercises and weights that you need to do. And I think I was so nervous going into it. I'm like, what if I actually cannot push this sled the distance that it needs to be pushed? But so the next one I'm doing is also in May. It's at the end of May in New York. And I'm doing it with a friend this time. I thought if I have to fly overseas and travel the distance, I didn't want to have to do it on my own.
I'm trying not to be intimidated as having two people. I'm really badly I'm thinking this sounds cool because I like traveling. So I'm kind of ignoring the exercise part. I've heard Helsinki and New York. I'm like, okay, I could do a Hyrox if it means I can go to these places. But before I could even attempt that, I need to learn what it is. I honestly, hand on heart, don't really know the full details of what it entails. Amanda, could you just sort of guide us through what makes up a Hyrox race?
Yeah. So Hyrox is made of running and functional exercises. So there are 8 exercises and 8 1-kilometer runs. So you start off by running 1 kilometer, then you move to the ski erg. I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a machine, almost like a rower, but you're standing up, pulling down as opposed to pulling. So you do 1,000 meters in the ski erg, then you run another kilometer, and then you do the sled push. And so the sled push the weight will vary based on if you're male or female and whether you're in an open level or a pro level. So pro is higher weights. Then you do another run, and then you come back to the exercises and you do a sled pull. And then you do another kilometer run. You come back and you do burpees. Oh, I should have said the distance. I think sled push and pull are both 50 meters. The burpees are 80 meters of burpee broad jumps. So burpee broad jump, so you do a burpee, you jump, you do another burpee, you jump. And then you run another kilometer after those burpees. You do 1,000-meter row. Then you do another run, and then you do what is after the rowing? Kettlebells. You do weighted kettlebell walk. You do another run. Then you do weighted sandbag lunges. You do another run. And then my least favorite is the wall balls. And you do a weighted wall ball. So you squat, you throw the wall ball up, it has to hit a target. You catch it, you squat again, and you have to do 100 of those.
Amazing, amazing. So it's just a light workout then, nothing too intimidating.
Just, yeah, a casual workout.
I can see Anna has just joined us as well. Anna, thank you so much for joining. Would you like to quickly introduce yourself? We were literally just starting talking about what Hyrox is, and for some context for listeners and myself who actually doesn't understand what this thing is and why it's become so popular. But would you mind just introducing yourself before we carry on?
Yes. Hello. I'm Ana. I'm currently based in Porto, Portugal. I'm really happy to be here, although I have like some bumps before we start. But yeah, my Hyrox journey began last year, and it was like it had an emotional start. I was preparing myself with a relay team to participate in my first Hyrox. My sister had health issue, and she wasn't able to participate. But the team didn't give up, and we decided to participate the same, and it was very emotional. So I believe that my journey is still like to catch up and improve my times for me, for myself, not for like to have a medal or something like that. That can happen because I won a medal actually. But I think that IROX really allows you to start a healthy journey if is what you want, or to get improving every race you do. And also it provides you in a simple way a routine for you to train, for you to get in touch with the community that is growing a lot in the maybe the last 3 years. So I had the opportunity also to meet great people, great women, great men, great partners in Hyrox. So, and now finally I will have that race with my sister. So it will be like this year will be amazing because of that. So my journey in Hyrox started like this, but actually I'm a very sports type of person. Right now I'm practicing CrossFit for the last 8 years. And in CrossFit, usually we like to do other activities too, and to challenge ourselves. And actually Hyrox, I believe it's a great conditioning training, and also it helps CrossFit athletes to improve their performance too. For me, it's a huge challenge. I'm not like a typical Hyrox athlete. And I'm saying this because it's really a challenge for me. The running is basically the Hyrox. It's the running, is to run, but actually you have functional exercise in between, right? But the challenge for me is the running part. And usually it will be like the stations, right? For me, it's the other way around. Okay, I have two stations they are really hard on me. But the running is for sure my biggest challenge during the race. So yeah, that's why I decided to do more races and to compete in Hyrox, and it's something that I really want to continue doing.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And I love as well how consistent the three of you have been with like the enthusiasm for sports, but also admitting that this is such a challenging activity to do, which is like quite refreshing from my eyes. I was saying before, Anna, that it's quite intimidating for someone like me hearing all of this. I thought, wow, how do you do these things? But despite it being challenging, like all three of you've said individually, it's also still becoming more and more popular. You know, in the last year or so, Alex, from your perspective, because you said before you're training to do one, have you been caught up in the popularity, the craze of it, or why do you think it is becoming so popular?
Well, I think I have been, and to your point, Jim. Now my Instagram feed is just flooded with different Hyrox pictures and carbon plated shoes and
Yeah.
all the like all this nice gear, etc. And so I would say yes, there is a bit of a hype that you want to participate, and I think you want to have your opinion about that. You see, I also think that healthy lifestyle is taking the world by storm, and I think that it is healthy both physical and mental. I think looking what's happening around all over the world, I think people need some place for peace of mind. And I
Mm,
think when you need to raise a 3 kilo ball 100 times above your head during those minutes that you do that, you only think about that. It
mm,
seems ironical, but you really rest as you do that. That's at least how I see that for myself. I always say to my friends, and to my wife that in order to kind of release my mind, I need to load my body. And it always works. It always works like that for me. And plus, I want to see if I can do it. Honestly, I'm just curious, and with what time
mm,
and how difficult it might be. And honestly speaking, I'm going into the unknown. I don't know. To Anna's point, I know I'm pretty good at running, but there is such a phenomenon which is called running on compromised legs. You know
mm.
how you run when your legs are fresh, but the difficulty is that the whole event, Hyrox, is very heavy on your legs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So because of that, you might be very surprised with your running performance. So yeah, that's kind of, so yes, a bit of hype, healthy lifestyle with a kind of switch towards the mental side. And I'm just curious to see how I will perform there.
yeah. I think also you need that curiosity. You need to have that sort of like motivation to push yourself and see if you can do it. What's interesting though is that there's also the audience of I've proven I can do it, and now I want to see if I can do it better. And Anna and Amanda, both of you fit that audience. You've done it before, but you've registered to do it again to try and challenge yourself. So I want to ask you both the first time you ever did it, and I know Amanda, you've only done it the once, but so for you that one time, and Anna, if you think back to your first time, what was it about that race that captured your like desire, motivation to go and do it again? I don't mind who answers
Well, for
first.
me, sorry, it was for
Competitive,
you.
see?
Oh, I was going to say to me, the first time when I finished it, I actually said to a friend, "Oh my God, I'm never doing that again." It was like one of those things when you cross the finish line, you're like, "Oh my gosh, like I'm so happy I'm finished." Probably similar to, well, I don't want to generalize, but maybe, after women give childbirth, after I had my child and gave birth, I was like, I am never doing that again. Granted, I haven't, but a lot of people do. I think your memory kind of holds on to certain things and forgets others. But then once that kind of settles, the adrenaline settles, and you reflect back on what you just achieved, and it's not even the race itself, it's the build up, it's the training, it's the commitment, it's the healthy eating in the lead up to it. It's all of the different facets that take you to that moment of actually competing. And also the mental strength it takes to go through it. You have to continue, especially when you do it on your own. You have to continuously motivate yourself through each of those exercises. When I was doing the burpees, it's okay, I can do this. Let's just do two more and you can have a rest. or with the wall balls, which was, the last station. And I was done by that point. And it also, if you don't squat low enough or if you don't hit the target, your wall ball doesn't count. So you might end up doing more. So I ended up doing an extra 14 wall balls on top of the
Wow.
100. Apparently, they were really strict here because my partner was standing behind me. Was like, she was very strict, but I mean, that's just how it is. Judge was, that's just how it was. But I think when I reflected back on it, I was like, that was such an amazing accomplishment, and I had a certain time that I wanted to achieve, and I achieved below that. And now I'm like, okay, well, now I want to beat that time because I'm quite a competitive person. I'm competitive with myself. And I think, yeah, the feeling that you have after when the dust settles and I could walk again. I was quite sore after the race. It just got me excited. And the fact that friends wanted to do it, and now this time I get to do it with one of my best friends in a city that I love. And New York, it's actually outside, not inside, so you run along the Hudson River. It just, yeah, it made me decide, okay, yeah, let's do this again. I've done it once, I've done it alone, I could definitely do it again, splitting the exercises. And yeah, now I'm just really excited, and I don't think it'll be my last solo one either. I'm sure I'll end up signing up again so I can beat my time.
Yeah, I mean, none of us are doubting you're going to keep signing up again.
You get like addicted, almost like kind of, because during the
You
race,
do. You
you
do.
want to quit like all of the time, almost not all of the time, but I had once I had a race that I wanted to quit really serious 3 times during that race. And but the thing is, that's why sports will really get to, on your resilience, because you keep going, because you can do it, so you keep going. And but at the end, you feel so happy. You feel so happy. You feel so overwhelmed because you were able to finish, improve what you wanted to improve. And sometimes you will improve things that you don't know that you will need it, but you feel so happy, so overwhelmed that you want to keep going, and it's a good type kind of feeling. So yeah, I had the same experience like Amanda. I usually I go individually. I started in pro. It's a big mistake, don't do it, please. Do
In
first.
pro,
Wow.
Yes, because
Jim, now I also feel humiliated.
I started in pro. So for you, Alec, it will be if you start like in open, you will do the same race I'm doing individually, or mixed. Double mixed is the same weights, because the race is exactly the same. The weights will change. But I started in pro because I'm very strong, but it was a mistake. But I was able to overcome it. But my first race was so overwhelming. I was so exhausted. I took more than 2 hours to finish the race, 2 hours and 30 minutes. And just for you to realize that my last station, the wall balls, I stayed there more than 15 minutes because I was so tired. I was having severe cramps. But at the end, I was so happy. And I was, like Amanda said, when you do the race outdoor, you feel like you feel more, maybe a little bit more connected, And I was so happy because it was a sunny day. I was able to finish. It was on the hangar, an airplane. We had airplanes everywhere. The arena was beautiful, was really great to be there. So you also feel this, and this will also fuel, your energy during the race. People that you don't know, they will say, "Come on, you can do it," things like this. Even your partners during the competition, you always have like someone that is side by side with you, and that can really, really help you to overcome some stations. Because sometimes I have to say to myself, I will get it. I will get it. I will like move faster than her, than him. Sometimes I keep saying this to myself to feel more energy during the stations. And during the running, I'm doing my stuff. I'm doing my pace, and please leave me alone because I'm
Yeah.
suffering. And usually it was like this for me.
that like communal bit where because you're using them as extra motivation, but they're probably doing the same for you, and it becomes a sort of like togetherness with it. And I guess there's also a motivator owing it to yourself, because this isn't a one-off thing. The training that you've put into this, I don't know how long you would have to train for. And do you mind if I ask, like, well, I mean, Aleks, you're obviously training now for your first one. Would you mind just sharing what does that mean? What are you actually doing in the training? Is it, I'm going to say, sounds so naive. Is it just running more and cycling, rowing? I don't know. Like, what does training look like?
I heard very early in my preparation that surprisingly the most challenging part for most of the people is in fact running. You think running is very accessible. That's sort of what we kind of do. You know,
Mm.
you do run in your normal life. You don't throw 6 kilo balls in normal life. You know, kind of that's. But surprisingly, this is what makes you very tired. And I have been running for now. I've been a runner since COVID started and since lockdown in Paris. So what was it, 5 years ago? And since that, running is it's a very important part of my life. And then I think a year ago I started to work out and go to the gym and kind of work out the whole body and gain some muscle weight, etc. And uh, I can't say I'm doing a lot Hyrox exercises. I'm doing some of them on a regular basis. For example, walking with the bag, rowing, ski erg, etc., but not all of them. So I run at least 2 times per week. I go to the gym at least 2 times per week. I try to work the whole body I work on cardio as I run. So that's that. I'm not aiming to break any record. I'm doing it in a pretty cool way, basically with a friend of mine. We'll see. Maybe like Amanda, like Anna, I will get attached to that, and then there will be another podcast where you and we will be talking. Oh, how the three of us made it below 1 hour. You see, and we'll be showing our medals. I don't know. I don't know, but I want to see first. I want to see first.
First race is a test. People sometimes they expect to do a great time, and you can do it for sure. You can do it, but it's a test. You will discover things that you don't know. Things will happen that you will not expect at all. So it's a
Can you
test.
share, can you share an example or something? Like,
Well, for me, it's the cramps. I
yeah.
had like severe cramps. I'm tall, I'm heavy, so I need more to drink more water, use electrolytes, salt, and gels too. I really need to use that. My first race, it was so. My last one, it was really funny because I stopped during the lunch station with the cramp on my leg, and our muscles in our legs, they are big, in our thighs, and my muscle was like pulling like this out. And the judge said to me, do you want to because we in lunch stations, when we are alone, when we are doing the competitions by ourselves, individual, we can only put the bag down once. Okay, otherwise you'll have penalty. But I knew that if I did it, it was the end for me. So I said no. I will wait until this pass away, and I will continue. And I started to screaming like, because I was in a lot of pain, and I knew that no, this will end this like almost the last station. So it was like it was really funny at the end, but it was the last struggle that I had. But yeah, usually we have that type of things happening, but if you prepare, it's okay. Sometimes most of the surprises that you'll have is that, oh, I'm really good doing it, but it's not happening right now, and you feel a kind of, why this is happening. I trained for this a lot of times. I'm able to run faster, but I'm not able to do it. So that will happen for sure in some of the stations and during some of your kilometers there. But yeah. And then you have like big personalities there. People dress in a ways that you. It's really funny. So yeah.
And With that, the first time doing it, you're training for a bit of the unknown, and that can be quite daunting. Now you're training for your second time or your third time, your fourth time, but you know what's in store. You know the pain that you've experienced before. So how does that change your training that you're doing, or does it? Is it harder to motivate yourself to train, or
Well, it will not change completely your training, to be honest. It will depend. For example, I understand that you train, you run twice a week, you go to the gym. It's very important that you are able to do functional exercise, you know. Not the training for Hyrox, it will not, you will not mimic a race, you know. You will not do only the stations. You will do functional exercise based on strength, performance, velocity to improve the stations and your performance. Yes,
Mhm,
so my trend didn't change a lot through the races, the competitions, but of course that every race and every competition that I do, it allows me to understand what I need to improve, you know? So you will gain perspective over the challenge that you need to improve. So for me, I know that I have to improve my running. I'm very good at pacing. For example, my pace is very good, you know, when I start I do the same pace every time. I never lose that energy, which is very good in an Hyrox race because the thing is, the challenge there, of course, that you want to be fast, but the
mhm,
challenge is for you to. How will your mind and your body endure a high intensity competition or race through this all the entire time because your heart rate is not here. This is a normal. It's constantly like high, you know. So you have to keep the balance, the level, to keep balance, to endure, to make your body endure until the end of the race. So at the end, of course, that you will know what was a struggle for you, what you have to improve. So for example, for me, it was the lunges. And after my first race, I focus on gain strength on my legs to be able to do the lunges with 20 kilos. So I started first to do doing strength exercise, and then I start doing squats with 30 kilos bag, you know. But I'm a strong athlete. I know that I can work strength. But during the Hyrox race, it will not happen that way. So you always learn what you have to improve, and then you can keep going with your training, and then focus on some. For example, I see a lot of people, they are very good performing, running, and some stations, but they don't have a lot of technique using a row or a skier, for example, you know. So most of the times they just need to improve their technique using the ergs, you know, or they just need to be more strong to get to be more fast during the sleds and the farmer carries, or every station that you will have more weight. You know, for women, usually it works like that. You know, when you improve your technique at ergs, you will like it will be crazy. You know, you will take during your race like 5 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes. So then you will learn and you will try to improve that during your trainings. You know, but the base of the training usually keeps the same.
yeah, there's so much to consider. I had no idea, like coming into this conversation of all of these different elements. And one point you just mentioned there as well, Anna, was talking about how am I mentally going to be able to get through this? Alex, can I ask, what did you think when you were hearing that just then? For someone who's not done it, you hear that. I would be terrified. I would honestly be shaking with fear if I heard that and knowing I was about to do it. What are your thoughts?
You can hear Alex's response and learn exactly how he was feeling, as well as lots more about Hyrox in part 2 coming out shortly. Stay tuned.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to join us again for another episode where we unmute the conversation around mental health. See you soon.